All right, we are live. Hey, everybody, how you doing tonight? I'm your host, Jeff Freeman, and welcome to the Curse of Oak Island and Beyond. And right over here is my co-host, Jack Campbell. Jack, how you doing tonight?
Good evening, Jeff. I'm doing pretty good.
All right, I tell you what, folks, I got to tell you, last night I couldn't. I had a little bit of my son had a medical emergency last night. I hear I chuckle about it. He's doing okay. He. I don't want to get into any detail on it, but anyway, he's doing okay. But there was a medical emergency we had last night, or yesterday afternoon, I should say, and it kind of pushed me into last night. And then I was really not prepared to come on and do the show last night. So I apologize for that. But things like this happen once in a while, and we just got to go with what we can. Family always comes first. Remember that. Jack, we talked about that
I
many
remember
times.
you last night.
Yeah. So, but anyway, thank you, Don. Appreciate that very much, and welcome, and glad you're here, Don. Wanda, hi, Wanda. How you doing? Pam Black's here.
Alexandra is here this evening.
Anne Marie, Janet's here. Sharon, how you doing? Alessandra Nadavari. All right, Alessandra, glad you're here. Don Brents, of course. Appreciate you guys very much. As you know, Curse of Oak Island and Beyond group that we are, and this night we are going to be again stepping into the Beyond side, which is kind of my little pet area, I guess you could call it, where I like to venture into things that are not necessarily related to Oak Island. It's still first and foremost in my mind and in my heart, and but there are other things that we like to talk about as well, and the Secret of Skinwalker Ranch happens to be one of them. It's one of those areas that I really like. Um, yeah, thank you, Wanda. I do. And thank you. We appreciate the prayers. Yes, yes, Anne Marie. Family does come first, and that's what was the case with last night. So I'm actually waiting for a text from him to see how he's doing tonight. He is still in the hospital, but everybody's he's doing pretty well. So anyway, so, but yeah, so I wanted to try to, with the way this is going, we were originally going to try to do 2 episodes of Skinwalker Ranch each night, but then we got got looking at this, and we thought, boy, we need to get caught up because episode 4 being on just Tuesday night was really kind of cool, and I thought, man, I don't want to wait, a whole another week or so to talk about it. So I thought, man, so let's see if we can roll through 4 tonight. We're going to give it a shot, and if it gets to be too much, let me know, and we'll try to reel it back a little bit, I guess. But we are going to try to go through 4 episodes, 1 through 4 tonight, and I do have lots of notes here. And thank you again to to Jan. She really stepped up to put all this together, and her synopsis that she puts together. I tell you, I use these like they're gold because they
Hey,
really
Jeff.
help me out a lot. Yeah.
Check YouTube.
Should be okay. Hi,
Yeah,
Razor. How you doing? Is there an issue with
Linda
YouTube?
and Jan don't see it.
Uh-oh. Hmm. Let's find out. David Chantu, are you seeing us on the YouTube side, David? I know you're out there because you chimed in before we even went live. Let me know if you see us out there. Oh, sorry, I didn't see the things. I don't see it. Okay. Um,
Sharon, welcome to the group tonight. Janet, thank you very much for being here.
let's see.
Don, Brent, I hope you're enjoying retirement. Got about a month in or so, I believe now. Pam Block, thank you very much for being
Facebook
here.
is good. Facebook is good. Huh. Well, I don't know. It's showing me that YouTube is connected. I can take a quick look here. Maybe.
Dane Sanderson, hello to you too. Where are you from?
Let me look and see if I can bring up my thing here on YouTube. Bear with me a moment, folks. I
Facebook is
apologize.
good. Pam Black says Facebook is good.
Yeah, Facebook. I can see the feed on Facebook and on Twitch. Let me see what's happening on.
Brian Ross, thank you for being here tonight. Really appreciate it. We didn't realize we were going to have a.
Well, it says. Oh, you know what? Maybe it's
Alexandra, I hope the weather's better for you than it is for me down here. It got chilly today after 90 degrees.
Oh, okay. I see what Linda was talking about. Okay, it should be up now. I for whatever reason it was clicked as private, and that's why it was not showing. So it should be up there now. I apologize for that. It's because I actually fired it up last night for a moment, and just to get it going, because I thought I was going to try to get on the air, and I just wasn't there for it. Dave, if you're watching, I don't know if you're still out there, Dave Shantu, if you could let me know if anybody else could check YouTube real quick to see. It should be up now. So apologize for that.
Jan says we're good.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Yeah. So I had accidentally clicked that, and I noticed that the beginning, and honestly, because I fired this thing up last night, because I was really going to try to do the show last night. I did only at that time say episodes 1 and 2. So you'll see that the header says we're going to talk about episodes 1 and 2. That's a little confusing. I'm sorry. That's because I didn't change it for tonight. I forgot that I had actually said that. Thank you, Linda. She just popped in on the YouTube side and said hi. So, okay, we're all good. All right, folks, sorry about that. So, all right. Looks like we got a pretty good crowd showing up so far. Appreciate you guys very much. And now hopefully we'll get some more people showing up on the YouTube side that they missed it because it was private. But anyway, so we wanted to try to get through these, and I did do the season 1 recap a couple Saturdays ago. And we went through the entire season 1 in a couple of hours. And it was actually, I tell you, and I mentioned this then, but when I watched season 1, it was really, I got more and more into it because I was watching it for the multiple times going through each episode. And I really got pulled into, hi, Razor, how you doing? Appreciate you're here. I really got pulled into this mystery because, and we got people out there, and I have to say that these people, yeah, I got some visuals, I got lots of pictures. you're gonna wish I didn't. I got too many for each episode. Hopefully we can get through them all. I got to get moving here pretty quickly too. I don't want to talk about this too much, but anyway, and I got pulled more and more into this whole mystery. And I tell you, with the scientists guys that are out there, I really honestly believe that these guys are not going to pull punches. As far as trying to fake things or anything like that. I really believe that they're going to do their best to use the science that they have and the knowledge and the schooling that they have to really come up with some great answers, what's going on out there. So
and the past history they're using also.
Mm-hmm, yep. And right, and exactly right. And so I really like that fact a lot. I really believe that they are going to do their best to try to get to the answers that are, that we all want, what's going on. There is definitely some weird things happening on Skinwalker Ranch. Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. There is just some strange things out there. So, all right, without further ado, let's get into this. I did want to mention one other thing too. And Linda brought this to our attention just before we went live tonight. It doesn't look like there's going to be a Skinwalker Ranch show next Tuesday night. It looks like they're skipping a week. So we had up through episode 4 Tuesday night. We're not going to get episode 5 until I believe it is the 8th of June. So let me see, because Linda had that schedule and I want to look at it again real quick here. So it looks like, May 25th was There's No Place Like Homestead 2. And then it looks like June 8th will be the next one, episode 5, The Ranch Strikes Back. Okay, so it looks like they're skipping a week. So, and I'm going, with the holidays and stuff happening, I was going to have to rush back and get on for the show on Wednesday night, which now I guess we probably won't do on next Wednesday night. If I get back and we maybe come on and talk about something, I don't know. We'll see how I feel after driving for many hours, but we'll see what we do. I always hate missing a week, but
don't forget to wave, Jeff. Don't forget to wave.
Yeah, as I go by your area, I'll wave on my way by. So anyway, keep that in mind that there will not be a Secret of Skinwalker Ranch new episode. Will not be next Tuesday night. It will be the following on June 8th. Okay, so just keep that in mind for next week. A little bit of a because we don't want to miss them. But anyway, all right. So now to my wonderful pictures that I always love to force upon you guys. So season 2, episode 1. So we're going to jump back about 4 weeks on you guys here, and we're going to take you back to episode 1. And right off the bat, and let's bring up my pictures. All right, so there, that way I had to have that one on the beginning because I just love that. That's their season 2 logo going on there. So all right, so there we got Travis, Mr. Taylor, heading back out to the ranch for his second summer. And getting things rolling out there as he was driving out. Of course, I had to throw that one out there because, he's like the main guy on there. And immediately thereafter, after they get rolling, we see them coming out, Brandon, Fugal, and of course, his brother flying. And then this gentleman sitting in the back, we'll get to him in just a moment, flying out to the ranch to go out and meet everybody to kind of get things rolling for season 2, right? So, and there's his brother there, the CEO of Aerodynamic, Cameron Fugal. And am I saying that right? Yes, Fugal. Anyway, so there, he what a deal. I mean, he owns this Aerodynamic company. I just love these helicopters and stuff they have. They're just awesome, aren't they? So, Chad says, bring them on. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I know. As one was saying, take the night off. And so they're flying out, and then I had to put this picture on here, guys. I really did, for a couple of reasons. One, I just love the shot, a tail camera showing, shooting along right there, but you get a great picture of what's happening.
Plus, they show how far away they are from the mesa and everything.
Exactly. Yeah, he tries to stay away from the edge of the mesa. He doesn't want to get right over top of it. And because he's talking about those anomalies that happen, and it could happen to the aircraft, the helicopter here, and cause some weird stuff going on. So he's experienced some of this before, and that's why he doesn't want to get right over the mesa, which is over this area here. He wants to stay just to the, I think he said the south of it, if I remember correctly, when he flies in. But I just love that picture. I just think that's so cool with showing the from the tail rotor forward like that. And that's really cool. I just love that shot. And then we see, for the first time, Dr. Christopher Lee coming out there, Dracula, showing up out on the ranch, coming out. Does anybody get that? Dracula? Okay, we'll see if anybody got that. I know there's a little delay. Hi, Jenny. How you doing? She's over on the YouTube, so I'm glad you're here with us tonight. So Dr. Christopher Lee coming out to the ranch and going to come out and see a few things. And so when he does, he's coming out there. He is, let's see.
Oncologist.
Yes, the radiation oncologist. Okay. Oh, somebody said, yep. Yep. Does that mean you got the reference there? Dracula. He needs to watch out for Peter Cushing. That's all I got to say. If Peter Cushing shows up on the ranch, he better run. Yeah, Christopher Lee. All right. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Why do I have that picture up already? I don't know. That shouldn't be there already, I didn't think. I think I'm out of order. Homestead 2. Huh. Yeah, I do. I got him. Something's out of whack here. Hold on a second. I'm going to jump out of here for a second. My pictures are out of whack.
Barb Wright, welcome to the show tonight. She got the reference.
Yeah, I couldn't help myself. Anyway, the reason why was because I took one out. But anyway, so Dr. Lee was coming out to the ranch to set up safety protocols. Now, the strange thing I thought about that was we don't get a bunch of wooden stakes. He comes out there to set up some safety protocols, but he shows up on the ranch and they're talking there under the awning for a little bit. And then, I don't know. Of course, it was only a couple of minutes for us watching the show, but then him and Brandon get back on the helicopter and they leave. So it's like, okay. And then we, now we're 4 shows in and we haven't seen anything. Yeah, we haven't seen anything more from from Dracula. So
I mean, he came out for 2 sentences and got back in the plane. And
yeah. So I'm like, okay, what happened there? What's going on, folks? So anyway, maybe he will be coming back later in the season. We to talk about his radiation oncologist and some of the safety protocols that he's setting up. Maybe he's just doing that, and we just don't see him on the show. Maybe he is actually doing that in the background, and we just don't see that taking place.
Take baby on the floor for all we know.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Barb, that's pretty funny. So, and also, and Brandon also informs Travis while he's going on, events will occur. So he said, while you were gone, a lot of things have happened over the winter months. So the stuff that was going on did not stop. The weird anomalies and things like that continued happening over the winter months. He just wasn't there, and he did warn him. Remember when he said something? Are you sure? Are you sure you want to come back and do this again? Because of the things that happened to him in season 1, the radiation burns that he ended up with, and the lightheaded, and he actually said he had like flu symptoms for about a week from the radiation exposure that he got. So. And I mean, after something like that would happen to you, I mean, how would you feel about coming back, right, and continuing on? So I don't know, interesting. But he said, "Oh yeah."
So I think that would just be the Perkins interest, I would think.
Yeah. He said he's all in. He's ready to go. So, but Travis had mentioned, he said he hopes to try and figure out what to trigger these. Poke the hornet's nest. He wants to poke the hornet's nest a little bit. So rather than things happening, on the ranch and them being just happen to catch it now and then once they do, but things happening that they don't catch, they wanted to see if they could actually trigger things to happen, which I thought was a really cool concept. And then immediately Brandon asks him, okay, well, how are you going to do that? What's your plan for making that happen? And what does he say right off the bat? He wants to start digging. And of course that brings up the red flags. Digging. No, we're not going to be doing any digging. And that is when Erik Bard makes the suggestion of using some different types of things to see what they can find, like LiDAR, like the photogrammetry and stuff like that, to try to get some different types of, without doing the digging. What else can we do that doesn't involve digging? So that's what they were really trying to get into at that point. So, so then Thomas jumps in, and by the way, I haven't mentioned yet, Thomas will be on the show with us. He's going to be coming. He's going to join us on the show. He's going to come on, and we're going to have a nice time with him. I think that's July. We're waiting until the season is over so he can talk about
July 10th. If I remember. Yeah,
July 10th at 2:00. We're going to have Thomas Winterton on the show. I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be exciting. He's going to be able to come out and talk about all season 1 and 2 with us. Hopefully it'll be over by then. So really, I'm excited about that. So anyway, Thomas had talked about this particular hole that's in on the ranch there, over on the, I believe it's on the eastern side of the ranch, that over by Homestead 2, that's full of brush. And he said while he was out, doing some irrigation work and whatnot, he actually took and decided to fill this hole up with water to see what would happen. So he did. He filled it up. He said it took about 3.5 hours to fill, but it took about 15 minutes for the water level to drop. And so he thought, hey, if we're going to do any kind of digging at all, this would be the place I'd want to do it, right? To start off with. So anyway,
there's a hole already there, so that they really don't have to dig.
And because it was full of brush, he never cleared the brush off. He never cleared the brush off to actually get in there and have a look to see what was underneath it. And again, you would need a little mini excavator like they were using anyway to get all that stuff out of there effectively. So they were just throwing all this brush into that hole at that time. But anyway, that was really weird. You put all this water in there and all of a sudden it disappears. So what's going on? So I'm going to go back to my pictures and we are going to bring this up. Let's see. So that's why I had this picture with Homestead 2, because here's Homestead 2 right here, and this spot right here is the hole that he's talking about right next to it there. So that's the hole that he wanted to get over, and this is over if you know, so that's on your eastern edge of the ranch there, over by Homestead 2. Yeah, exactly, Barb. Yeah, waiting until the season gets over. So then, yeah, see, that's exactly what we were trying to do. And that was actually
work now.
Yeah, that was Linda that said, you know, it'd be smart to have him come on. I thought, yeah, it would be. Thank you, Linda. You know, appreciate that. But that way he can talk about everything. So that's what we're hoping for anyway. So I'm looking forward to that. So anyway, that's Homestead 2, and there's a shot of it. Look, and this is I tell you what, Homestead 2 is creepy. That's just a creepy place to me. I love the paranormal. You know, I'm into the paranormal stuff, but it's that's creepy. That's a creepy place. I tell you what, I would love to go there and do I've done a lot of paranormal investigations over the years. I'd love to go do a paranormal investigation of Homestead 2. Quite honestly, I'm surprised they haven't yet done that. Hi, Kate. How you doing? Oh, is it really? Twitch is being twitchy. Oh boy. Okay. Well, I hope it's not my feed over there, but it might be. I didn't change anything over there, but anyway, we're glad you're here. You found us on YouTube, so I'm glad. Yeah, that water flowing was weird. Yeah, we're getting that. So anyway, they go over there and they talk about this, and then they get Brandon on, and they said, look, you know, here's what we propose. We've got to do something, and even Dragon. Oh, it's there, no problem. Okay, Kate, thank you, appreciate that. So they got on and they talk, and they say, look, you know, if we're going to get into this thing, we're going to have to let's at least allow us to dig the brush out of here. And they explain this water anomaly. They put the water in there and it disappears so fast. So let us kind of mess with this a little bit and see what happens. And talks to Dragon, and Dragon's even on board with it, which I was really amazed that he's coming along. He's coming along with it.
Skeptic of them all when it comes to that.
Yeah. I love his facial expressions. Don't you guys love Dragon's facial expressions? I mean, when Travis in season 1, when Travis first brought up digging, the look on Dragon's face was, I just busted up. It was great. So anyway, so they talk to Brandon. Brandon gives them the thumbs up. Okay, go ahead. Just be careful and let's watch what happens over there and just be really careful with it. So here's a overhead shot, looking at this hole full of the brush that Thomas had found. And here's them, you know, coming over, and they're actually working in there to divert. There's an irrigation ditch that goes by. You can see it back here. I think that's it, running right back there behind them. And they actually go in with the shovels and they start digging the water to let the water flow into it to see if they can start filling it up. Yeah, Sharon, he is kind of different this season. He's not so
paranoid. I guess for a better.
I would love
the show.
Yeah, I've tried to find a way to reach out to him. We'd love to have him come on. Maybe Thomas can help us with that, to get Dragon to come on, or with him, come on with you if you're, you know, that'd be great too. But I'd love to talk to him, because I bet he's a lot different than we see on the show. Sometimes that's the case. You know, and he's known Brandon, you know, they were kids together, I guess, or, you know, young men together. Barb says, I used to run a paranormal investigation group before moving to Seattle, had many unexplainable experiences. Yes. And that's something that you remember Maddie Blake mentioned. When I did an interview with Maddie Blake, that was one of the things he mentioned. He said, there's a difference between a paranormal believer and a paranormal experiencer. Once you experience a paranormal event, you are kind of hooked at that point. It drags you right in, and I've been there, and you probably have too, Barb. You probably experienced stuff that you cannot explain, and that drags you right into it. And but I've got an interesting little thing that I'd like to, once we get over to episode 2, which I got to move along here. I don't want to run out of time. I'm going to talk about that some more. But anyway, so here they are. They divert the water into it, and Travis, right off the bat, he said, man, I wish I had a 5-gallon bucket. I could see how much water we're going in. And he fills up the bucket in 2.5 seconds, and then he calculates out how much water they actually have going into it, so they can figure out
45,000 gallons.
Yeah, and they end up putting in about 45,000 gallons of water into this thing. And at the same time, they put this dye into it because they want to see where the dye comes out. Now, we've seen them do this on Oak Island, right, where they ended up putting the dye down into 10X and all that, and then try to see where it comes out later on. I always wonder why use green. Green is hard to see.
That's my thing. The only way they found it on Oak Island was using red.
Yeah, I know. You got it. I would use chartreuse, or not chartreuse, but use a color like what's that? There's the reddish color, but it's the reflective color. I forget. Anyway, but so anyway, they put the dye in there, and it does. I mean, it changes it really quick. I mean, look at that piling in there. But once it gets diluted so much, it's going to be hard to see, where it's coming out. And that's exactly what happened to them here. They poured this in there, 45,000 gallons of water, and they put in a gallon of the dye in there, this green dye. And lo and behold, then they bring out the, it's not Chico, I forgot now, Mr. Silva, a drone operator. I was going to try to pronounce his first name, and I'm just going to blow it because I don't remember how it was pronounced. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. I was just looking at some of the chat here. Yeah, I've been experiencing many things. The Janices have been experiencing many things, but I have all my life. That's interesting.
Cisco Silva.
For sure. Huh? Say it again?
Cisco Silva.
Is it Cisco?
Yes.
Chico. I don't know. All right. Yeah. Anyway, Mr. Silva. We're going to call him Mr. Silva. Just so I don't mess that up. Anyway, so the drone operator, and one area they're going to look at, they're going to watch the gulch right here, dry gulch. They're going to watch that all along there. And then we're also, that's where they're flying the drone. And then the other team is going out here over, this was where, they, going over to check out I think it was, I'm at a loss for everybody's names all of a sudden. Anyway, they head out over here to go check out the marsh area also. Kaleb takes the team over there to check out the marsh. Okay, and there's Mr. Silva with these, getting ready with the drone to get it up in the air, and of course they fly all around and they're checking, they're following the gulch here to see if they see any of the green dye coming out anywhere, and then at the same time, Barb says, I don't know why they always use green dye. I know, it's just odd because look at all the green around.
At least they got the drone up in the air this time.
Mm-hmm. I know. Yeah, the good point. Very good point. Because the last time they tried to put a drone up, guess what happened? The batteries were dead, and then it wouldn't connect. It would not connect. They couldn't. When they got over by Homestead 2, there was no connection. So anyway, so they did all that, and then Travis and his team that were over. It was Travis and Thomas. They were trying to look. They went over here and they looked in the well. They also looked in that hole that they drilled. One of the holes they drilled, the little borehole or well hole they drilled in the middle of the road there out in front of Homestead 2. They drilled down in there, or they looked down in there, and there was water in it, which I thought was interesting. There was actually water down there. They put that pipe in, put a cap on it, tried to pull it back up to see if they would get any of the green, but they were just letting it drip out. I mean, they didn't really. I was a little disappointed in that part there because I didn't think that they really gave it a good enough try to see if it had green dye in it. It was just dripping out. Now maybe on the show they actually saw more than what they showed us, but yeah, I thought I was a little disappointed in that because it was just a couple of drips came out of there. Oh, it's not green. Okay, but anyway, they go over to Homestead 2, and then they're looking in the well, and immediately Thomas jumps over and goes, "Let me open it this time." So they do. They open it up, and they see. They look down inside there, and then of course, Casey Smith was there. This is Casey here with his using his looking for radiation detector, and he puts it down in there, and he picks up. He finds actually there's lower radiation down inside the well because it's protected by the concrete and also the ground. He actually finds less than they do above. So nothing happening there, and the water is virtually clear. There is no green dye in it. Yeah, Travis did. Hey, Linda, thank you for that. Linda, as I mentioned, that Travis said that if they see no green dye, it means that there's some sort of cavern or something under the hole.
That is one big cavern.
Yeah, it would have to be huge, right? There's just showing the readings on there. They actually got less than what they picked up above ground down inside the well. And there's Casey Smith there from Qualtech. So it's nice to bring out these kind of people like Casey, because he could come out there with these instruments that are top notch. I mean, top notch, leading edge technology that he can bring out and get a good analysis of things. And that's exactly what they have to do. They have to bring out this kind of technology to try to look at things. So anyway, so they took a look at that, and here's where they're standing there by the road. And this is actually before they got started. This was actually an earlier picture. But they were talking about it, the fact that they didn't find any green dye anywhere. Okay. So that's when they decide, okay, let's get out this little mini excavator and we'll start to dig out. And they got all the brush out of there first. And there's, Thomas is working on that, getting that all dug out. And as they went along, they were checking for radiation in the holes just to make sure, be safe, which is a good idea. And at the same time, you see, look over here, you see Caleb's looking at his phone. There goes his phone all acting crazy, right? So, and there it is, a picture of it. And of course, he's got the broken screen. But I mean, seriously, what's going on with his phone? I mean, his phone was just going nuts. And at the same time,
the question there.
The what?
Is it the same? Has he changed out his phone? Has he got another one and brought it on site to see if it's the same thing happening? I mean, is it just that phone, or is it really something else?
Right. I think at that point right there, I would be saying, okay, let's grab another phone and put it side by side with this one and see if they're both doing it. I mean, if one's doing it, why wouldn't the other one do it? Why would it only be one? Is it targeting that particular phone? And now, if that was the case, that would be odd. But yeah, it's the same broken phone. I know. That's why. Come on, dude, get a new cover on that phone, and get the Apple one. Don't buy a cheap. Don't get one of those aftermarket replacements. Because
they showed this phone all last year when we were showing it last year, and it seemed like he never changed.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's like get another phone. I would want to, if I was Caleb, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to get a new phone, and I'm going to start carrying the new one around and see if that one does it, and see what happens. Okay. So, but just weird stuff though. A phone should not be doing that. That's just really strange. Even with a broken glass on it, it still should not be doing that. And I don't think that broken glass is going to aid it to happen, but I don't know. Hey, John. John's here with us, John Edwards. Glad you showed up. Glad you're here with us. So anyway, all right, got to move along. Let's see. Yeah, if it's alien, what do you say? If it's aliens, they can do anything. Yep. Ask Jack. All right, so there he's really getting into his work there. He's really digging down in there. But you know what the interesting thing is, and this is something that Thomas mentioned. He mentioned during this that hole, he's pulling up clay. Now, I know as well that you guys know, if you've dealt with dirt or done any kind of digging and stuff, or if you're in a region where there's a lot of clay, you get down to that clay layer, and that's not going to allow water to just run through like it would in sand. Now, you go out to a sandy area and you put water on it, that water's going to disappear in just a matter of seconds. It's gone because it soaks through the sand so quickly. But if you get into clay, it's not going to disappear that fast, especially when that clay gets wet. It's going to just solidify, and it's going to hold that water back.
It's like 16 feet of clay or something, he said.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a huge amount.
Yep. And he got into it. And again, they were checking with the detecting no anomalous readings on their radiation detector at all. But that was what the interesting thing was. He said that was clay down there, and that water should not be able to seep through that clay that quickly. Again, just another strange thing there. Okay, so then later on that night, as they're sitting around their picnic table and they're talking, Caleb sees something. And so he's shining his light, or he's got his gun there actually with a flashlight on the end of it. That's his hand. It's probably a 9mm, I would imagine, or bigger. I'm not sure exactly what that is. But anyway, so he sees something. So him and Travis take off, and they go running over there. You can see them here. And there's Tom and Erik are still sitting at the picnic table. They go running off over here to see something, and they spot. And Travis talks about this later. He talks about seeing something, and I bring this up because we talk about it again in the beginning of episode number 2. Travis talks about seeing a anomaly that's about 2.5 feet in length and about a foot, maybe a little more than a foot in height. A rectangle, a orangish, yellowish, glimmering rectangle box. Now that's significant. And I believe Travis. I really do. I believe him when he says that he saw this thing, because he's looking at it from a scientific standpoint. Yes, he does get emotional. I would too if I saw something like that. But he talks about seeing this box, and I guess Kaleb saw it too. So they go running over there, and it's gone. And he said he saw it. He said he saw it, and then just like that, a snap of fingers, it's gone, absolutely gone. Now, what in the heck happened to that thing? Now they are in a basin. Okay, the Uintah Basin is we got a good picture of that when they're building the platform later on the south end of the property. But that basin is not. You can't say, oh, it's car lights from a car way down a road, a mile and a half away. No, I don't believe so, because it was it was down at ground level, and they're in a basin. So they're going to be the rise of the basin when you're coming out of it is going to be much higher level. So if it was a car or something, it's going to be, quite a ways away, and it's going to be up on a higher level to where they saw it. But anyway, they got over there, and it was gone. It was absolutely gone. They don't know what happened to it. So interesting stuff. But it was right there when he's talking about doing some recording. And then into this camera, whatever's up here, I don't know what this is that's up here, but I thought about that's really weird, because there's something up here on the ridge, looking down onto the command center there, and I didn't know what this was. There must be a camera mounted up there, a night vision camera or something up there. Yeah, you're right, John. Clay can be used to seal something from water damage. So it's not, the water's not going to seep down through that quickly. Let's see.
One thing they said, they turned off the camera lights, and then they had an object shoot across the sky at the same time also.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. They did. They saw an anomaly. It was right after this happened. When that thing disappeared, Travis looked up in the air, and he actually saw, and they had got it on film, and I got a quick picture of it. I wish I had a little video of it, but you can see this weird line going, and it's going horizontally across the sky. It definitely did not look like any kind of an airplane or anything like that. So I think I might even, yeah, there it is right there. There's a still of it, but it actually moved its way across on a vertical plane right here, coming across this way like that. Very, very interesting. Normally, if you see a plane, you guys have looked up in the summer sky, and you see a plane with its vapor trail, going across the sky, and it's making an arc going across or something like that. It doesn't usually look like that. And of course, you're not going to see the vapor trail at night probably, but this was some sort of I'm going to use the letters, a UFO, because it was unexplained. They don't know what it was. It doesn't mean it's an alien. It just means it's unexplained. All right, so that's what they saw there. And I just brought this up from Kate. We cannot ignore that the deep in our oral and mythological histories, there are things that are not in our ken, that live outside or alongside the human world. Yes, Kate, I'm going to talk about kind of some of that stuff in a minute, and that's kind of what the rabbi was talking about too. So anyway, all right. So that's that pretty much sums up episode number 1. And as time permits, I'm going to get moving along because we're already 40 minutes in, and we're going to talk about episode number 2. Let's see here and get my pictures ready for that. So let's do that. Let's jump into episode number 2. Now, if you guys want to bring up and talk about any of this stuff, feel free. I mean, anything that I know I'm kind of moving through this quickly, but if there's some things that you would like to discuss about any of these pictures or things that I'm talking about, please feel free. Feel free to jump in and talk about it. Okay. That's what we're all here for, right? To help discuss this, because this show is really, I mean, there's so much that's going on here, and so much technology they're using to try to capture these events that are happening. It really intrigues me, and that's why I want to talk about it, obviously. And if it intrigues you too, then you guys are going to notice things and see things that I'm not seeing, or Jack is not catching, or whatever. So let's talk about that kind of stuff. That's why we do this. Who said that? John. Yeah, you're right. And John, you had mentioned that before, and I am looking into that UAP stuff. I have started to do a little bit of work on that. You were talking about a gathering, or was it the UAP Congress or something you were talking about, that I am looking into that. You mentioned it, and I forgot to acknowledge that last week. But yeah, here, this is John said this. The government rebanding UFOs to UAPs. So to make it sound less fringe now, yeah, you're probably right. That's probably what they're doing there. Full report to Congress in the next month. Yes, by the way, on UAP. So, yep, that's what you were talking. Man, I'm all in, because I tell you what, there's some, and we'll talk about that as we go along too. But there's some really interesting things that are happening with our government these days, talking about the like the Tic Tac UFO and things like that are really interesting. Let's see. Barb said, I'm watching this on my TV via YouTube, chatting on the Facebook page. Not sure I can use the YouTube chat feature on the TV. I don't know. Yep. UAP stands for unidentified aerial phenomenon. I think that's correct. Is that not? I'm pretty sure that's correct. Yeah, wow. Unidentified aerial phenomenon. And because I think it's because UFO gives a connotation of it being alien and from another world, and that's not always the case. That's why I do actually like UAP, simply because it's an unidentified aerial phenomenon. Does not mean it's alien. It's from Mars or whatever, or it's somewhere outside of our solar system. It could be simply it's an unidentified aerial phenomenon. That's what it is. You don't know what it is. I mean, we could talk about that all day and get into some haggling over the sticks of that, but that is what it is. And I actually like that they've changed it, because again, I'm with the same thing. A UFO, you're thinking aliens, and it's like, yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean it's aliens. Okay, so here we go. This is the beginning of season 2, episode 2, and this one's called Carved in Stone. Now, in the beginning here, they've got Brandon on the phone, and they're talking about seeing that 2 to 2.5 foot wide, and the about a foot or so in height light anomaly that they both saw. These two guys right here saw and disappeared, and they're explaining this to Brandon on the phone, and he's just like beside himself, trying to just think of what this thing could possibly be. The Awoken One, hey, how you doing? Glad you're here. Glad you're here. I saw you pop in earlier, and I meant to acknowledge you there. So glad you're here with us tonight. Appreciate you coming by. And he says, what does it say here? Are skinwalkers not creatures that live below the Earth's surface and are believed to be humans, long lost ancient cousins, or am I confusing skinwalkers with something else? Skinwalkers was something that was think of it like this. Native Americans boogeyman is something I read one place, and I thought that was really cool. But they're supposed to be a type of, what do we want to call them? Entity, creature, something that can change,
animal, whatever you want,
from human form into a more wolf-like form, like a werewolf or something along those lines, that they can change forms. So a shapeshifter, something like that could change into a wolf-type form and back, is supposed to be a skinwalker. And where they come from or whatever, yeah, shape changing. Thank you. Yes. So that's what if you actually go out and just Google what is a skinwalker, you'll get some interesting websites that will talk about that stuff, about the indigenous people. The Navajos, I think, were the ones that originally kind of came up with that. I think the Navajo, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's what it said. Nickel Mickle, hey, how you doing? He said I checked in the title. It was he popped into the stream and was thinking that some weird stuff going on Oak Island. Yeah.
I know, getting back to this, Brandon wanted a copy of that video real bad.
Yeah, he did. He wanted a picture of that anomaly coming across the sky, and that thing's really cool. I got to tell you, it's really, really cool. Wow, John, you typed a lot of stuff there. The scoop: the Pentagon's investigator general looking into the actions of military has been taken the address of the state address of the state of UAP sighting in recent years involving high performance aircraft that have violated military airspace. The probes come from as Congress awaits public report due next month from a host of national security agencies on the issue, and the advocates complain that some departments and agencies are not fully cooperating and sharing data. Senator Marco Rubio is concerned. Yeah. So, I mean, it's good, interesting stuff. And we're going to see a lot more of that. And that ties in with Skinwalker Ranch. Big time. It really does. And it's going to validate a lot of what they're seeing out there, I think. When did we get more disclosure coming out from our government on this? Anyway, so there they are. They're explaining all this. They're explaining the box and then the footage that he said that they had. And then we get to meet on the show Ryan Skinner. And Ryan is a guy that he has a great website. If you guys have checked this out, and it's Skinwalker. I think it's correct. Put that up there if you would, Linda. I think it's just called Skinwalker Ranch. Now he's been invited. He's been researching the ranch in this area around in the basin. He's been researching it for many years, long before there was a TV show about it, which has only obviously been 2 years. But he's been researching this for many, many years. And Ryan not only does he have a great group and a lot of good discussion over there. For those of you that are really interested, you should check this out. But he also was invited to come out. Thomas and Erik. They've already known about him. They've met before. So they brought him out to have him come out and show them a little bit about what's going on, and something that he discovered in his past researches that he's researching in material that he's done in the area. So he came out to talk about that. I was just looking over here what Linda was saying. Yeah, Skinwalker Ranch is not really about the show. It's about the ranch and about the research that he has done over the years. So he has gathered a ton of information. He really has. Really good. If you guys really want to see some good stuff over there, then check that out. Anyway, so he comes out. I grabbed this picture here because I was laughing to myself. This is when they're meeting around Travis's trailer, right? When Ryan here first shows up and he gets out of the car and he's talking. He says hi, because he knows Erik and Thomas. And he comes over and says, "Hey, I know you guys," or whatever. And then he says, "Hey, you know what? I want to show you guys something that I think you really need to see." And I forget the actual term that he used with it, but he said, "I think it could really be beneficial to what you guys are trying to do here." And you see right off the bat, Travis, I want to know what's going through his mind with it. He's like, "Okay, like, all right, yeah, here goes another one, gonna try to show us some altering thing that's going to show us the future of everything," right? I just had to grab that picture because I just thought it was someday if we ever get to talk to Travis, I'm going to ask him, what were you thinking right here? You're thinking, here we go, another guy with another great theory about what's happening. Anyway, Ryan was talking, and they used a recreation of an incident that happened to him when he was up on. I believe he was actually up on the ridge. He was up on Skywalker Ridge, up on the plateau up there, and he described an incident that happened to him where an orb, like this one is shown in the picture, and this was again a recreation, he spotted it. he was taking pictures and doing some research, and this thing started coming directly towards him. And it did it in such a fashion, and there he is looking at it, and it did it in such a fashion that it was actually coming right at him, and it freaked him out. He dropped his camera and started running in the other direction, heading the heck out of there. Now, think about it, guys. Folks, would this not freak you out? I mean, I love going out and looking for UAPs, right? I just love it. I think it's interesting, and I have, in my lifetime, seen a couple of different things that I would call a UAP because I don't know what they were. I could not identify them. One was following an actual, one that I saw was actually following an airliner. And I knew it was a plane carrying passengers. I could tell what it was. I could hear it. I could see it. And there was something following it. I'll leave it at that for now. And so if you saw something like this, especially you're out there by yourself and you see something like this and it's coming at you, well, what are you going to do? I mean, first of all, I'm going to be, wow, look at that. And all of a sudden, wait a minute. I'm going to be running. Okay. And that's exactly what he did. And I believe the guy. I mean, I do. I don't think that I don't think he made the story up because, like I said, we were talking about, paranormal stuff. Once you've experienced something, you get sucked into it big time. And this, took him by surprise, and it made him even want to research the stuff even more. Okay. So he told this story about this thing happening. Then he takes the crew and he says, all right, I got something I got to show you. So let's head on out here, and we're going to climb up here on the ridge, Skinwalker Ridge, and we're going to take a look at this rock out here. And so even at this point, Travis is like, oh, okay, let's go look at this rock. And then when it was all over, he was impressed, very impressed. So they pull out there, and I thought it was kind of funny because as they're pulling up, he goes, you see that big rock? And then they show all these rocks going, yeah, there's a whole bunch of big rocks over here. But anyway, he's talking about this one right there, okay, next to this huge one right here. So they go up there and they get a closer look at this thing. Oh, I grabbed this picture because it shows there was two different descriptions of stuff out there, right? There was one thing called petroglyphs, and then there was pictographs. Okay, two different ways of marking, writing on a stone or rocks or something like that. A petroglyph is something that's carved in. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right on this. Is carved in, where a pictograph is more painted on. Okay, so I grabbed this picture because this was just one they flashed on there showing an example of pictographs. And or these could actually be petroglyphs. I'm not sure because they're actually carved into the stone. Pictographs are painted, petroglyphs are carved. Thank you. I think I got that right. And this just shows an example of that. Okay, different things. And what are they going to be doing in this? Are they going to be? Petroglyphs are typically Native American. They're going to be doing this because they're not only going to be telling a story or showing a history of their people or the things that they've seen, but they're also going to document things that they have seen. That's the interesting part about doing this. They're going to document things that they've seen because they don't have a cell phone. They can just snap a couple pictures, right? They're going to actually have to record it in some way. So they're going to put it down on a stone. They're going to carve it. They're going to paint it. They're going to do something. And we've seen those. People are going to paint what they see, and they're going to paint the best representation of what they see as best they can, right? So anyway, that's why I grabbed this particular picture, because now we take a closer look at the ones that he had pointed out on this stone. Now, this blackened area, I think the one guy that they brought out there later on, which was Dr. Alan Garfinkel, they brought him out, and he was actually talking about this. He called this desert stain. I think he called it desert stain. Right. Is that yours? Okay. Yeah, desert stain on the rock. And now, and this is where I get a little bit confused. So is it... and he talked about the fact that they were chipping away at this to take the stain away. So would that be considered a petroglyph, or would that be considered a pictograph? Because you're actually chipping away on it. You're, in a sense, carving it. So how would that be described? What would you call it then? I'm not sure. I think initially Ryan was calling it a petroglyph, and then later on everybody else was calling it a pictograph. So exactly, who said that? John said they paint what they see.
Right.
You're exactly right. It's carved, so that would make it a petroglyph, right?
Right. They did that with a hammer.
Yeah, there's a good. Don Brent said an etching, and that's really more to the point of what it really is, an etching, because they're kind of etching the stone. Anyway, so there's a picture of it, and some of the carving. You can see the one up here, and then you can see the two down here, and over here are some triangles that look like they've been carved in there. And there's another angle, looking at it, a different angle. And you can see the triangles right here a little bit better that actually was pointed out, because I think Erik asked Ryan, he said, what was your impression when you came up here? What stood out to you? And he was talking about these triangles and talking about how the Shermans had mentioned back in the early 1990s, we're talking about a portal opening up and triangle-shaped UAP coming out of it and then moving around the ranch. Triangle-shaped UAP coming out of a portal moving around the ranch. Okay. Now remember that for a second, because as I go along here, and I'm gonna kind of hit you guys with a wild thought and see who kind of agrees with me on this or not. Maybe I'm completely out in left field, but bear with me a second. Okay, so they've got these on here, right? And let's see. Get a bunch of messages here, and I'm probably going nuts. Yeah, I agree. Okay. Okay. All right. I am reading, Linda. I'm trying. All right. You're right. All right. Stay on topic. Okay. So going along here now, and that's where, Dragon was pointing out there's another one over here that he was looking at, like along here. He was looking at the one that was down here as well, and some other stuff on here that could very well play into this that maybe have just faded, but there certainly does look like there's one right here. So as we go along here, they were talking about this lip of the rock right here and how it kind of resembled the actual ridge. But you remember that Travis did say along the way, he did say, we have to be very careful now to not, try to, I forget his actual wording on that, but try to say that this is for sure something and keep an open mind about it, because they don't want to try to, force the issue in their brains to say, oh yeah, this is definitely what it is. Be open-minded and be open to different ideas coming in. Okay. All right. So now he pointed out, Travis did, that he thought that one picture, the one etching, I'm going to call it an etching. I like that, Don. I like etching. I think that's a good one to call that. Confirmation bias. Is that what he called it? Yeah, I think you did, Tom. Tom Burns said confirmation bias. That might be what he called it. But he said this one reminded him of the Big Dipper. And yeah, it does. It really does. And when you see the two side by side right there, it certainly does, right? Okay. Yeah, exactly. And then here's one. He said it looks like Draco in his mind. The dragon.
You've seen Draco before.
Yep. And you're right. It does actually. If you see them side by side, you got the little curly Q circle right here, and there it is right there. Now it trails off and goes off this way, but it does resemble that. Okay. There's no doubt about that. Then they have Dr. Alan Garfinkel come out. He's an archaeologist. Actually, he was several things. They said archaeologist, anthropologist, and petroglyph expert. That he came out and he sat down. They invited him to come out and actually talk about this a little bit. Now, the one thing he noted right off the bat was that there was an echo in this particular area. Now, yes, you've got rocks all around. You got rocks kind of, making a wall in front of you that are going to reflect sound, but he was clapping and he was noticing how it's coming back. Okay, sure. Yes, that echo does exist. And sure enough, we've all heard that kind of thing at some point in your, yeah, oh no, they are dreaded archaeologists. But it does have a place of interest for everybody. It does to me. I mean, a place where you can go and you can find an echo like that. It natural amplifier. Exactly. Thank you, Janet. It does have a place that is going to reflect sound back, and that's going to be a place of interest to you, right? It is to me. And so we assume that it would be also, as Dr. As he described here, Garfinkel described here, that this is going to be a place that's interesting to the Native Americans because it's a place that they consider has some sort of a mystical or magical property to it because of the sound reflecting back, right? So that's one thing that he said. This is going to be an area that they really like because it's a, thank you, Janet, a natural amplifier, all right? Yeah, great point, for sure. Then they kind of talked about this gentleman here, which was Junior Hicks. I think I jumped ahead there a little bit. I wanted to get back. Oh, hang on just a second before I go too far. Now, he was talking, Dr. Alan Garfinkel was talking about the fact that, he called it desert varnish. That's what he called, not stain, desert varnish, talking about this blackness on here. Missed my own note on that. But one thing he had mentioned was that he had talked about, let's see, I'm going to read this real quick because Jan put this in the notes, and she did a great job of capturing what he said here. He said he notices pecking on the rock and feels the curves are a metaphor for a snake or a serpent. And she's talking about this right here, or he was talking about this right here, what they call Draco, right? So this was he feels the curves were a metaphor for a snake or a serpent. Then he explains the snake represents life and death, or could represent two different worlds. But snakes are also the guardian to portals into the supernatural. Okay, so a snake or serpent being a guardian to a portal into the supernatural. Okay, now I'm going to invite you, here's where I'm going to go off with my weird tangent here. And I'm going to invite you to take a look at something. Get back to this picture. And again, I may be going off on a wild goose chase here, but this is what I'm seeing right here, okay? Now, if you take the things that two different people said, he said it looked to him like it was a snake or a serpent. He's talking about Draco right here. I'm going to call it Draco just to give it something easy to name it with. And he talked about that being a guardian of a portal. And then Ryan Skinner had said that the Shermans had mentioned that they had seen a portal open up and a triangle-shaped anomaly coming out of it. Okay? So you put all that together, and here's what I saw. And again, bear with me with my wild thing here. Here's what I saw. Rather than this being the Big Dipper, it could be, because it does look similar to it, as you saw in the side-by-side, but we don't have two of them in the sky, the night sky, that are exactly about the same size and opposite of each other. So what's this? And this right next to it. Here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a portal. And I'm seeing a snake or guardian for that portal up here. So I'm seeing a portal here because you got two poles, almost identical as the person carving could make them, opposite of each other, okay, on either side. And you've got that, you can see the line going down. You can almost see where it makes a complete circle on the bottom. So is this representation of a portal? Is this a triangle coming out of the portal? I know it's kind of a wild thought, but that's what I saw when I heard this, and I heard it a second time and a third time. That's what came together in my mind. They're talking about the Shermans saw a portal open, a triangle-shaped anomaly coming out. There's a triangle-shaped anomaly. There's a portal, possible portal. Here's a snake or something protecting it. Okay. For whatever that's worth, that's what I was putting together in my mind with this. Okay. If the indigenous people were carving something Yes, reminds me of a wormhole that the drawings that Travis made. Yes. Thank you, Bart. If the indigenous people are going to carve something that they see and they're going to try to record it, would they not try to make it something like this? You know, that they saw? Did they see a portal open, and did they see a triangle-shaped anomaly come out of it? Did they think that it was being protected by some sort of a snake or serpent? Okay, enough on that. I'm going to move along. So, just a food for thought. I liked this when I saw it, but why is there two of them, one completely opposite of the other? So, and it does look like Draco. It really does. So maybe they were trying to put that together in their heads when they showed this. Jeff goes down the portal rabbit hole. What Native American peoples were in the area? The Ute and the Navajo, but I think the Utes were primarily in this area here. You can research that symbol through the tribal history and tribal elders, especially the shaman. Yeah. Anyway, could be two. Yeah. That's what I thought right there, Sharon. You're not going to have two Big Dippers side by side, one opposite the other. I don't see any reason why they would have done that. Okay, moving on. Now we saw Junior Hicks, right? Junior Hicks was a gentleman who had done a lot of UFO phenomenon research over the years. There's a picture of him in his later years, and here's a picture of him when he was a teacher or something going on. I think they said he was initially a teacher. And you can see a blackboard behind him. What's that? I'm sorry?
He was a science teacher.
A science teacher. Thank you, Jack. That's why I need you here to help keep me lined up with all this kind of stuff. But he did a lot of documentation. Whenever anybody said anything about seeing a UFO or a cattle mutilation or anything like that going, he went out. Yes, he was a UAP researcher. Thank you, John. So he went out and he investigated. He talked to these people. He took notes. He did, and put all this data together. So that's what he did. And wouldn't he be a great guy? It's too bad he passed away like a few years ago. And some of the folks on the ranch got to meet him, and many of them did not, unfortunately. So here is a picture of his son. This is his son that came out. Ward Hicks came out, and also, his daughter. Yep, Jana Lee.
And they brought a bunch of stuff out with them.
Yeah.
That was very interesting to the whole group as they were sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, this Tom wanted to put all that information in a database so they could just do some comparisons and everything else with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And here's the granddaughter, Mary Kay Lee, coming out. And she had with her a box. And they're like, okay, what's in that box? Well, she brings out a 3-ring binder, and they start talking about this. And I gathered some of it. This is some of the research that he had taken and put into a computer and started working on, of all the things that he was finding. Now, this is really interesting, okay? Obviously, it was done many years ago, but really, really cool. Hicks data, 57 total. And these are the sounds, UFO sounds. What did most of the UFO, when he was doing his research, he was gathering this information, sounds like a BB, sounds a humming noise, a whistling noise, a whirling noise, a whoosh, or whatever. Most of them had a couple here and there, no more than 10, less than 10. No sound at all, well over 70. Okay, boom. And that's what we hear people talking about, the percentage of events. 70% was no sound at all. Cool, isn't it? I'll try to run through these kind of quickly. This one here talks about the UFO events per time of day, which I thought was really cool. Total of stuff around the area here, most of it was in the wee hours of the night, from 6 o'clock in the evening until midnight was most of it. And about 18.9% was here from 6 o'clock in the morning till 12 noon. But look at the ranch. It's almost even. On the ranch, on the actual ranch, the stuff that they saw, it's almost, pretty close. I mean, whether it be daytime or nighttime, morning or, late at night, most of it was from 6 to midnight, the majority. But look how much of it was in the middle of the day, 6 to 12. A lot. I thought that was really cool. Distance. Now you can see this. I didn't catch how many the different areas, but the distance from it, 10 feet away, or 0 to 100 feet. I mean, 10%. And then I guess as you go around here, they get further and further away. But interesting again that they were going to take and compile all this data together and put it into a database. We may see this pop up again once they compile this, get it into a new database, and get the data and look at it in a different way. They may be able to come up with some more information. Here's these rods, and they said that who was it? Was it Hicks? Junior Hicks had found these rods out on the ground on the ranch someplace. He collected them up, and he actually showed them to Mr. Big, Robert Bigelow. And so he showed them to him, and they were checking them out. I guess they couldn't cut them. They couldn't melt them. So here they are, these 3 pieces of rod that they figured were some kind of, what were they saying on that, Jack? Do you remember? That they might be?
They couldn't cut them. They couldn't do anything with them, and they couldn't really get the properties right because it kept changing up.
Right. And they were thinking there was some sort of a power cell, maybe of some sort.
Yeah, energy mass cell.
They had no radiation. They didn't show radiation. They were thinking that maybe they were some sort of. But the interesting thing was they showed them to Mr. Big, right? And they took them back to their lab and they analyzed them and all that. And so later on,
I never saw them.
Yeah, he says, "Oh yeah, there's nothing to them. There's nothing. Oh well, can we have them back? No, I can't have them back. Why can't I have them back? If there's nothing to them, let me have them back. Obviously, there was something to them, huh?" So that was interesting. So there's another picture of them and shows about how long they were. And I guess that's 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6, a little over 6 inches long, these two here. But pretty cool, huh? But he couldn't have them back, even though they meant nothing. And then toward the end of the episode, they bring out Dr. Dean Taylor, the Utah Department of Agriculture. And they bring, vanished, exactly. They bring him out, and so he's coming out. He's coming out to actually take a look at the cow that died on the ranch last season. Last year, the cow that died, and so they wanted to get a closer look at it, and so he brought him out. And again, this thing died last season. No predators ate it. Nothing like that happened. Nothing ate it, and that's not natural. That's not going to be a natural occurrence. Scavengers are going to eat this thing. Okay, nothing touched it. Why? They dragged it off to the far eastern corner of right up by the fence on the property, left it there so it was well out of the way. Nothing ate it. Nothing came. The vultures didn't come pick it away. Nothing. No scavengers. And there's scavengers in there. There's coyotes or whatever around the area. Nothing touched this thing. Now, they said when he came out and he took a look at this thing, and I got a couple, shots here. Here's an overhead shot of them all standing around looking at it. And you can see the fence. They brought it right out to the edge. And there they are examining it. The hide is still on. There's no teeth marks on anything. There's no chew mark. Nothing. Not even bugs. So why? Why would that happen? Okay, so they got him in the research center. After he went back, they actually took a sawzall and cut off part of the thing's leg and took it, and he went and even the bugs, Tom. Isn't that weird? So they took it back to the lab and they were analyzing it and stuff, and they checked it for certain things. I think it was selenium, lead. They were seeing because arsenic, arsenic, leatherwood. Certain things that would have been in the blood or in the meat or whatever that would keep predators from wanting anything to do with it. And this was definitely one of those. Nothing was messing with it at all. And they didn't find any of those things. And they didn't think that even radiation would chase off predators. So again, why did nothing touch this thing? It's still kind of a mystery as to why nothing would touch it, nothing would eat it. Okay. Just a strange happening there. And they still don't really have any answers on that one. So, all right. So that takes us to the end of episode number 2. And I'm running out of time. I wanted to get through 4 tonight in 2 hours, and I'm hour and 17 in already. And I know I'm talking too much, Linda. I know. I'm sorry. We'll try to buzz through this a little bit, but I am going to run off on a tangent on this one a little bit because I've got some things that I wanted to bring up. So, season 2, episode number 3, and this is really cool because I really like this because here we got a guy that was brought out to the ranch who had been with Mr. Big, right? He was actually with Robert Bigelow when he bought the ranch. Yeah, I know. All right, so I'm going to try to hurry. I'll try to make this quick, and I won't go off. I can go off on a tangent on this some other time, but I really liked what this gentleman had to say, and I'll try to be quick with it. Anyway, there's Robert Bigelow, and again, I had this. There he is there. So Colonel John Alexander, retired Army, and he worked on the team. He was actually working with Robert Bigelow on the NAIC, is it? NAIS?
NAIS.
NAIS. He was working with him, Mr. Bigelow, on this research. And so he knows a lot of stuff that I'm sure he knows a lot of things that he wouldn't talk about. But one of the very interesting things that he talked about, he mentioned how they saw a portal. And I know this right off the bat, people say, "Oh, portal, that blows people away. They don't want to talk about it." They're like, "Okay, I'm out. I'm not gonna sit and watch this because I don't believe in portals or whatever." But again, we were talking about portals earlier, right? And now they said they actually saw one, and they saw something come out of the portal walking around. Okay. Now you got to put on your hat there to say, okay, I'm going to try to believe this as much as I can because these guys were talking about it and they were researching it. They were out here researching this. This is a recreation of a portal opening up down. I think this is down by Homestead too, yes. Which is where all the weird stuff really happens. He was talking about a portal opening up down there and something coming out of it and moving around. And then he talked about the fact that there was something walking around. I grabbed this picture, even though you can't tell. You have to see it moving. But if any of you have watched the movie Predator, and if you remember Arnold Schwarzenegger out there hunting this predator, and the thing would go into cloak. When this thing was moving around, it had a shimmer. Okay, there was like a shimmering, a distortion in the whatever was supposed to be behind him was kind of a distortion, so you could actually kind of see him when he was moving. And they were showing something like that walking along right here, and now you can't see it because, of course, I got a still picture, so you can't really see it. But anyway, I grabbed that anyway just to talk about it. So, and this was where, and again, this is that picture that Travis was showing about the wormhole effect, and that's kind of what. Mr. Alexander, Colonel Alexander was talking about. He was talking about a portal opening up that might be something similar to a wormhole, but something. And this was also when Travis had, it was shimmering. Yeah, thank you, Brenda. Hi, I didn't see you show up here yet. Thank you. It could be already. They could already have something like that. I wouldn't doubt it, John. I really wouldn't. The bending of rays of light. Exactly, Tom. And this was, you're talking about the scan of sound. Now, Travis had mentioned that the scan of sound going from, where's my other book? I got a book with some other notes in it. But anyway, he's got it all the way from microwave down to like 35 megahertz, which is, I think it's high frequency, or is that that might be not high or low, but that's somewhere in the middle. But I was a radioman in the Navy, so I remember this. So, and I'm going to bring up this for just a moment because it was covering, you see it here, it's covering the entire spectrum between, he's got 32 megahertz showing right here, from 32 megahertz all the way up, or 31, actually below 31, all the way up to the microwave bands. That's a huge spectrum of frequencies. That's a huge range of frequencies. And for something to be able to affect all of those at the exact same time is phenomenal. Now, we still here, when I was in the Navy, we're out at sea and we're doing our thing out there, being a radioman, we're listening to frequencies all the time, monitoring them. there were times where we used to call it the Russian helicopter, and it was like this, but it would make its way from the low frequencies or all the way up through UHF, and then come back, slowly. And when it would move up, it was gone from there. It would move up the range, go all the way up to like UHF, and then come back, and then it would be gone. We might not hear it for another week or whatever, but it was to disrupt your communications. And I'm not blaming this on the Russians, because that's what we called it. I don't know where it came from, and I'm not saying the Russians did it. Please don't misunderstand that. That's just what we called it, because we didn't know what else to call it as a joke. But I'm not saying the Russians did it, but that's just anyway. They did that sound was out there, and it did disrupt our communications to some degree, but it was something that swept across. It didn't affect every frequency at the same time. That he picked up this, and it was affecting the frequencies all at the same time, which is really kind of, again, one of those weird things that happens out there on the ranch. So he talked about that portal. One other thing that, before I get to this one here, one other thing that that Colonel Alexander was talking about when he was on the here was he's talking about alternate dimensions. Now, this is something in the paranormal world that I really got involved in, and I'll just take this really quick tangent here, and then I'll get away from it. Sometimes in the paranormal world, I think about, we see everything we see, a sound or a movement or something happening, we think of it as being a spirit world. I'm not so sure about that. Much of the time, I think it, and me personally, and things that I have experienced, I'm thinking it being about this crossover of different dimensions, just like he was talking about. And that's why I find this man so very interesting. I'd like to get this man on the show and talk to him some more about that, because I think it's very interesting. I'll leave that alone for now. It's a discussion for another time. But I think that sometimes I think we all automatically say, oh, it's a ghost, when it's not. I'm not saying they all aren't. I'm just saying sometimes I don't think it's a ghost. Sometimes I think it's a crossover of alternate dimensions. Again, one of my tangents there. Okay, moving along. Now they were up there. They were down on the south side of the ranch, and they wanted to use these laser lights and try to see if they could see an actual portal opening. And again, it's one of those things where they do a shot in the dark, trying to see if they can catch something. Anytime, they just set up an experiment. Let's see if we could do this. You would have to do this stuff night after night after night to try to really catch something happening. But they went out there in the south side. They built this platform down here. This is down on this ridge right here, or a high point. And again, the base and the bowl, right? They were up on this one edge of it, and they built this platform, this observation platform. And then see, here's that picture. Now here's that south end. And looking all the way back over towards Skinwalker Ridge, right? So you can see, look at this. I mean, you can see this entire bowl. And this is what I was talking about earlier about this whole bowl effect. I was talking about that with seeing the light that they saw, the anomaly that was about 2.5 feet wide by a foot or so wide. If it was a car, you're not going to see it. It's going to be way up in the air if you're seeing a car that's, way because of that bowl effect, right? But this was a perfect place, like they said, to put this platform. I know, I thought that too. Here they were, so here's Mr. Dragon. He's so worried about digging holes. They're digging holes. Yeah, sure, it's a post hole, but still, they're digging holes, right? Interesting. He's past the whole digging thing, right? Okay, so they bring out these guys from New Salt Laser. Here's Chris Novelli. Comes out, and also the other gentleman. I'm sorry?
Tim Anderson.
Yeah, Tim Anderson comes out. So they come out, and they bring their equipment out, and they're going to set up on this platform, and they're going to do some laser. They're going to put on a laser light show for them, which I thought was really cool. And it's going to basically shoot towards the ridge, Skywalker Ridge there, and they're going to Skywalker. I said Skywalker, didn't I? Skinwalker Ridge. I hope I didn't say that any other times. Did you catch me saying that else? Skywalker. Yeah, Star Wars. Sorry, I'm a fan. Okay, so they're going to shoot that towards the Skinwalker Ridge and see if they can catch any or trigger a portal opening, and they would be able to see it because the laser would bend or it would have some sort of a reaction to a portal opening in the surrounding area, or so they think anyway. So they set these things up, and boom, they hit them out. They fired up. I wanted to see everybody. As soon as they did that, everybody looked up in the air, right? I wanted to see this one. They never did shine a camera up in the air to see what this one looked like that was going straight up and down. I wanted to see that. Lasers and Skywalker goes. Thank you, Brandon. That's why I said that. Okay, so I really wanted to see this one, but that wasn't the one that they were trying to figure out. Could you imagine all these people that lived way over here and they're looking up there going, okay, what's going on over there at the ranch now? And here's where they were shining it against the Skinwalker Ridge right here. They were shooting it against there, and they were looking for these beams or these lights in the middle here. They were looking for it to bend or be distorted in some way by a portal opening. So they went through this entire process, shooting them around and all this. And then they had Erik was recording this on his cell phone as well. And he was watching it. And here's look at all that, this reflections. I took this picture because I just thought that was phenomenal. This is 2 o'clock in the morning. They're at 2:30 in the morning. They're doing this, right? So yeah, me too. I just love those laser lights. I thought they were awesome. And the idea was a good idea. It was a good sound idea, a good way to catch this. But you would have to do this night after night after night after night to try to catch something instead of 1 or 2 nights. Unfortunate. Yeah. I know. Yeah, Janet says the neighbors are probably thinking, not again. You're right. I know. Just like when they're setting off those shots, those explosions over on Oak Island, right? I forgot the name of them all of a sudden. Seismic things over there. Anyway, so I just thought it was cool. All these different reflections, man, that's really cool. And I want to see this data after this data is collected, because he was trying to do that. This was on, July 3rd of 2020. I'm sorry, July. I said July, September 3rd. Anyway, so really cool, all the different, and I want to see this data that he collected and put together. I'm really curious if they're going to show us that. I hope they do. And so then after that, they really didn't get anything there. So on the next night, they go over to they go over and shoot over at Homestead 2. Yeah. And so they're doing some different things. And one of the things they did was to shoot this. There's Homestead 2. And he thought he saw something over there. Actually, that was on the next one, episode number 4. And anyway, so they're over there at Homestead number 2. And here's that array that they were scanning. And again, they were looking for some sort of anomaly. And Homestead 2 was the right place to do that, because that's where a lot of the weirdness happens. To be able to catch it would be a good place, would be over at Homestead 2, right? So, and then they talked about shining a beam right into the front door of Homestead 2, the one of the buildings there. And again, they didn't, unfortunately, they didn't catch anything, which was a bummer. One thing that I took this picture because I wanted it as a reminder that the interesting thing that happened, and I'm familiar with this piece of equipment right here. This is a lightning detector, and it picks up the static that's put in the air from lightning. It picks it up, and this travels. You may not feel it if you're far away from a lightning strike, but when the air gets energized by lightning, this thing picks it up. Now, why was this thing going off? A laser light is not going to do that. And that's something that Travis said during the night, during this episode. He said that is not going to set that off because they're diodes. They're not emitting an electrical current in the air like a lightning strike would. Or even the lightning that's up in the air that's traveling between the clouds is creating that static electricity, right? That's what this thing is detecting. Why was this going off? And Erik said it went off many times during the night. That is a very good tool to have with you when you're looking for the anomalies like they're trying to find. That's an excellent tool to have with you. And why was it going off? It should not have been going off unless there was something weird happening that was not being triggered by those laser lights. So I grabbed that picture because I wanted that reminder to talk about that. And then at the very, well, I put this at the end. It wasn't at the end. It was actually in the middle. But they brought out some more cattle onto the ranch, and they tagged them. Here they are unloading them here, and they were tagging them with these sensors, putting the sensors in their ears, and tagging them so that because they, you know, as we talked about before, animals have a tendency to really pick up on different things. I was talking about my cockatiel that used to forewarn you when an earthquake was happening, and it really did. I mean, he knew, he could feel it. He would start freaking out, and then we'd have an earthquake, 10 minutes later in Southern California. But animals can pick up on this stuff. And we talked about that on season 1 when they had that anomaly that UAP show up. I know they're not really using them as bait. I don't think so. Because they never intended that that one to get killed. I mean, it didn't get attacked by an animal or anything. While the alpaca did, but that was, yeah. I don't think they're necessarily using them as bait, but in a sense of a scientific, non-lethal way, yes, they are kind of using them as a tool because they do pick up on stuff. And when they're running around and acting that way, they want to be able to pick up what they're actually sensing in some way. I think it's a good idea. Why not? And so that's what they were doing. So, and then they had the sheriff come out, and the sheriff was talking about some interesting stuff. There's a sheriff, Chris Port. He's retired sheriff. He came out and he was talking about some interesting stuff. And there's Ryan again. Ryan was out there. He brought him out, Ryan Skinner. And they were talking about, he was describing when he came out to the ranch to do some investigations, and they looked in this one barn because some of the cattle were gone. I think it was like 4 or something like that. They were gone. They were trying to figure out where they went. Now, he described this incident where they were looking in a shed. The shed was locked. And they
had to unlock it, yeah.
They had to unlock it, and inside the shed, or when they looked inside, the cattle were stacked on top of one another, 4 high, and they looked dead, like they were dead, and somebody piled them on top of one another. Okay, that's odd. And he said, I don't think they're dead. Pour some water on that one. They did. Sure enough, they all woke up or from wherever they were, and what a bizarre story. I mean, what the heck was that all about? But again, a sheriff, is he going to make up a story like that? I mean, that's phenomenal. That's just too, I don't know. I agree with you, John. I don't understand how that's possible. That they were inside of a shed. The shed was locked. They had to unlock the shed to get into it. And yet when they looked in there, these cattle were stacked on top of one another. How in the world did something like that even possibly happen? Again, yeah, John said something had to levitate them. They're not going to crawl up on top of each other like that. So, yeah, I know it was Pam. It was a hard one to see, to take in, but I don't know. Interesting. And then he took him out to a spot where he saw some mutilations. Now those mutilations, yeah, I don't know. They might, in some way, Judy. Hi, Judy. It's the first time I've seen you pop in, but yeah, in some way they might have been drugged in some way, or frozen, and not frozen like freezing, but I mean frozen like can't move or whatever. What's the term I'm looking for in that? Anyway, he took him out to where some mutilations happened, and again, mutilations, I got to tell you, folks, are just a weird phenomenon because where's the blood? Why surgical removing of the back end or the jaw area? Or
all the female organs and neck bone was gone.
Yeah, I mean, just if somebody dragged it out there, was cutting into it, and hypnotized, yeah, maybe that's what it was. If somebody dragged him out there, was cutting into him, there's going to be blood on the ground. Paralyzed, yep. Catatonic state, thank you. Like a catatonic state. That's the word I was looking for. Whether that's it or not, Bard, thank you. But that was the term I was looking for, catatonic state. So he took him out there where these mutilations happened and was talking about that briefly over here. And I thought that was just craziness. But again, no blood, surgically removed. That's just not something that anybody's going to go out there and do. Not get seen, no vehicles out there, no blood on the ground. That's just too weird, right? It's just too strange for stuff like that happening. Okay, I wanted to go back to the seeing the UFO, and now we see this stuff and talking about the UAPs and stuff that we've seen, the Tic Tacs. This is all starting to come out, folks. It really is. It's all starting to come out, and they're going to be talking about it. Here we're going to get this disclosure hopefully coming soon. But if the government's talking about it and they're seeing things like this on Skinwalker Ranch, put the two together, man. What do you got, right? Okay. Here's another picture of that. That was one of the ones that they saw that has been released. Everybody's seen these now coming out. And here's the one that they saw above the cow that died. Now, one thing I wanted to point out too about that, and thank you, Thomas Winterton, for explaining this. But people saw that cow. The cow that died last season was black, right? The one that they were looking at out there on the ground was not. Yep, I know, Linda. Thank you. The one on the ground was not. It was reddish. He explained it in his video that I think is on Ryan's website or Facebook page of how the sun changes the color of it. He flipped over some of the skin that was on the bottom that was not exposed to the sun. It was black. So don't get yourself all pulled away by that. There was a big thing going on about that, saying, "No, it's a wrong cow. It's a different cow." Well, he showed that it wasn't. Yeah, he went through that very well. Anyway, this UFO, another Tic Tac style UFO or UAP, if you want to call it that. And then I grabbed that picture there of that one they captured going across the sky there. Okay, got a couple minutes, and I really wanted to get to number 4 here if we can. So I'm going to jump over to episode number 4. And I hate to rush through these so fast, folks. I was even going to put the phone number up if anybody wanted to call. I could do that real quick if you do. If anybody feels like calling and talking about any of the stuff. And we can go long if we have to, but I did want to try to get through number 4 before we finish up here. So let's see, is this my... Okay. So right off the bat, what they did was in season 2, episode number 4, they brought out Pete Kelsey, the LiDAR expert, who came out to the ranch, and he brought his equipment with him, which I think was really cool. I'm glad they did this because I thought that this was really a neat thing to do to try to gather more data, right? And so he came out and he was talking to everybody and introducing himself and some of his technology that he has. They went out to Homestead 2. They wanted to go out there and they wanted to LiDAR this entire area out there and see what they come up with. Because again, that's the place where all this weirdness is happening, the majority of it. So they go out there to Homestead 2. And again, just a creepy, what a creepy place. I'd love to do a paranormal investigation here. And there is his, what do you call it? A slam? A slam.
Slam.
Simultaneous localization and mapping.
And mapping, yes.
Yeah. Simultaneous localization and mapping scanner. Okay. Creates a 3D, virtual 3D image of the area. And so they went inside to Homestead number 2, and they started, and he let Erik handle it. Erik, go around and start doing some scanning with this thing. And this is a recreation of what it does. It looks at the landscape and it puts it into a 3D picture.
So yeah, they went in and they were. I don't think they were real crazy about it, but there they went anyhow. Yeah,
it's just really cool how these things work. I'm just really. Yeah, Barb, you want to go with me? We'll do the entire thing. I'll go with you. Let's go do it. I'd be up for that. Coming out and doing a paranormal investigation out there. Okay, so here's Erik walking around doing this scans with this thing. And he's going in all these different rooms. He's walking around through this entire house, doing his scanning. And there he is again. He's just going. He went through the whole thing, and he said he went all through there. He was in there for a long time, getting it, moving it back and forth, gathering all this data. And then they get over to. I was just thinking war room in my head. They go over to the command center and they set up, and so then they can start. He can show the data as they compiled it together, right? And so he puts it up on the big board for him. And here's a picture of walking. This is before he actually entered the building. on the outside, but it's all compiles it all together into one shot, into one area. It takes all the vegetation, the trees, and everything, and it puts it all together. Now it's really spooky looking, and it is kind of dirty looking, but apparently this is what it captures, right? But you can even see, the crosses and stuff in the windows and stuff. But I thought most of the windows were knocked out. But anyway, but you can see the interior walls and stuff in here a little bit. Okay. But here's the weird thing, and they pointed this out on the show. What happened here? Why did it not pick up these two rooms? I mean, look at what it's got out here. This is a room, and this is over here, and the trees and whatnot that are over here. What happened in here? Why is it not showing the flooring and all the stuff in here? It's like, it's like a black hole. It's like some sort of a portal. Even as he was walking into the door right here and it scanned here, it just stopped. Once he got in there, it stopped recording or stopped doing what it was doing. Now, when I was looking at this, I thought, the rooms are shielded somehow, John. I guess so. It's just weird how it just didn't pick this up very well when he got in here. Like I said, it's picking it up here as he's walking in because you can see how it's shooting, and that's how that thing was scanning. But once he got into the room, it did nothing. It didn't even really pick up. And there's another, I think there's one more, that's kind of a closer view. It didn't even pick up like the back wall back here very well. You did get this one a little. It's just weird. And they made a big point about, that, when they were talking about it. And again, you can see, looking at this one, you can see the exterior wall, and you can even see this piece of wall here. But when he entered into this back room back here, it's done. It wouldn't get any more. Again, weird stuff that's happening at Homestead number 2. Really strange. So later in the show, they bring out this gentleman here. This is Roland McCook. And Roland he came out and he talked about a story about when he's a native of the basin there, the Uintah Basin. And he was telling a little story about when he was about 10 years old. He said about 10 years old, him and another kid were out and they were hunting rabbits along the ridge. They were up on the ridge, I guess, on the top of the ridge, on the plateau there. And they were hunting these rabbits and whatnot. And I guess some bad weather, inclement weather came in. And so they went down off the ridge and they came up to Homestead 2, and they're like, hey, let's, the one kid was telling them, hey, let's go in here and, we'll shelter in here until the storm passes. And Roland was like, no, I don't want to go in there. That's too spooky. I don't want to go in there at all. But he ends up going in. He kind of talked him into it. And so they go inside, and he's telling a story there of it. And while he was in there, he was talking about this. He said, of course, he was, local of the area. He said when they got inside, Roland started hearing a scurrying sound, something scurrying around outside. Okay, so they were thinking, no, it's just a raccoon or some sort of varmint, some kind of varmint. Did he say varmint? Yes. Some sort of a animal or something was scurrying around outside, and so they were like, okay, it's got to be just some kind of weird thing.
Like a raccoon. They were taking a raccoon or something.
Yeah,
like
right.
That.
Yeah, exactly. And there was snow on the ground outside, right? They didn't really say how much, but there was enough to cover the ground outside. So they went out there and he found some tracks. They started looking for tracks and they noticed I'm reading what Jan has. Thank you again, Jan, so much for this. So they started looking for tracks and noticed human footprints in the snow, but the footprints were not wearing shoes. It's winter. It's snow. They're wearing boots or, they got shoes on. Why are you going to walk around without any shoes on? Okay. And then as they followed these tracks, the tracks suddenly changed to wolf prints or dog type prints. So immediately you're like, okay, what just happened there? Talk about freak you out. I mean, that would absolutely freak me out at that point. So the footprints on the to the tracks and the large dog or wolf or something like that. Then he saw something that resembled like if it was standing up and it having like red eyes. He said it was roughly about 8 feet. Yeah, about 8 feet tall. Exactly. And the two started. Well, the one boy, I guess he had a gun with him. He had a semi-automatic, and Roland talks about him pulling the semi-automatic out and shooting at this thing. They were that freaked out, so he started shooting at it, and nothing happened. They got this. Well, they got the roar. It made a huge roaring sound. And then after that, Roland hears. Now he starts to hear things in the night. It's like this thing. It's like this thing knew that he had seen it, and he was freaked out at home. Okay, now imagine he's a kid of about 10. Now, does a kid of about 10 have a tendency to make up a story or something? But you could see he was definitely affected by telling the story and going back and remembering all this. And it really affected him, and he did. He actually, they went around to the backside, and this is this was the picture that they use on the show when they talk about Skinwalker, turning into a human form, turning into some sort of a wolf type form. It's the one they use on the show all the time. But then he was standing right there by the well, at the same place that Travis became kind of disoriented. He's standing there by the well, and he became, not only emotionally but physically affected for a moment there, and he kind of collapsed against.
They had to help him off.
Yeah, exactly. He had to help him. I mean, that's just freaky, right? So, anyway, so you could just see the emotions on this guy going through this. Roland going through this experience and remembering it from back then. So at that, he kind of gathers himself up, and they're starting to walk away back to the car. And then he says, "Hey, give me a minute. Let me go back to be alone for a minute." He goes back over. Now, he didn't go around back to the backside where they were getting on by the well. He stayed over on the other side, but he started to go. Now, he took some sage. And now this is something that, I don't know if you guys how many of you have heard of this kind of thing. Oh, okay, Mandy. Sorry about that, Mandy. She hasn't seen the episode yet. So he took some sage out there, and because he's a native, he went out there and he did a little ceremony or doing some praying. He was praying about this and praying for a protection, and not that he wanted to be left alone. Please stay here. Don't follow me anymore. Don't bother me anymore. And he was doing this prayer. So he went around with the sage, and he was doing this using the smoke from the sage burning to ward off or protect himself during his purification. Thank you. That's right, Janet. Purification that he did. He went all around this area over here, and he did this. It's called smudging. Okay. So he went around and he did this little ceremony, and he said, "I don't need no more. He was whispering, but yet the camera picked it up, and he was he was telling it, please stay here, leave me alone. I don't want this in my life anymore." That could be true. That, Brenda, I'm not going to discount that at all, because that's something that I've heard about it before, and I've never done it, but I have heard about it. I've actually seen it done before. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not going to discount it, certainly, because a lot of the things that the Native Americans do that just are in their belief system is really cool and does work for them. So I'm not going to discount this at all. Anyway, there he is saying a little prayer about this and asking it to stay there, leave him alone. He doesn't want this in his life anymore. Okay, so then they go back out. Travis goes back out, and he does pick up some neutrons. Getting neutron counts that they should not be getting is what he called it. Neutron counts that they should not be getting in that area with this radiation monitor right there. And then they had some other equipment, but they were just, and they said, whenever we do this kind of stuff, whenever we take somebody to these places, we got to take this equipment with us so we can analyze it right there on the spot. All right. Now, getting towards the end of it here. So now they bring out Rabbi Ariel Zadok. Zadok. I put an R in there. Zadok. They bring him out. And so he comes out, and he's a friend of Travis's. They know each other. So he comes out and he starts to describe some of the stuff that he's going to do. He explains about the ranch to see if there's any can explain the portal phenomenon at Homestead 2. Rabbi explains that the Bible mentions other races that exist on Earth, but in another plane of existence, like a fourth dimension of space, a spirit world. They might be a little bit offended by the fact that now you've come into our area, and we're a little bit offended by that. Okay, that was kind of what he was talking about. He will use a tonal technology to try to open a portal, but also to try to tell them, hey, we're not here trying to disturb you or anything like this. We're just here to gather some information. The team notices a glowing light in the sky. Yeah, right here, as they're sitting there around the table here talking, and he said, I forgot exactly what he said, the rabbi said, I can already sense it. And it was right then when he said, I can already sense it. Right when he said that, there he is going, I can already sense it. And I grabbed that picture, and then bam, Travis sees the UAP in the sky right there. I don't know, John. Yes, it does in a way. If you could determine, or put it to this, I don't know, but it does. The Bible does talk about watchers a little bit. I don't know. That's going to have to be a time for another discussion, another time, I think. But anyway, Travis jumps up and he sees that UFO or UAP back in the sky again, right then and there on the spot. Right when he said, I can sense it now, bam, there it is. And I grabbed a picture of it. And it's just that Tic Tac. It's the Tic Tac UAP. Right there on the spot. And it shows up, it gets bright, and then it kind of fades off. Shows up, gets bright, and fades off. And it keeps doing that over and over again. They saw it several times. And there it is again. There it is right there, and it fades off. It's gone. Again, this is going to be more significant as we get more information from our government about UAPs. Right, John? What do you think, John Edwards? So they decide to go out and do a little bit of a ceremony. Yep. See, there he is, like the ones the Navy pilots are seeing. You're exactly right. So they go out they're heading out to Homestead 2, and they want to do a little a ceremony out there. He does. And it's called the, you had it written down here, the tonal technology. They want to find a sacred place to perform the ceremony. The team sets up thermal imaging equipment to record any event that may occur. So they go out there, and I love his walking stick that he's got there. So they go out there and they find a nice stone platform, and they put this ring around it. And they get this all ready. And then they begin the ceremony. Now he's got his form. I'm trying to think of what it was called. It's not a Bible, but it's their book for the Jewish religion. I'm at a loss. I keep doing this. I get this brain lock. Anyway, they're all sitting around. They're getting ready. They got the equipment set up, and they're doing this tonal ceremony. And he begins that, and he goes through this, and he's in a microphone. They're actually playing it out loud around the area on the speakers and stuff. Torah, thank you.
Sure.
I knew you guys would help me with that. Thank you very much, Judy and John. Yes. So they start this. They start doing this, and right off the bat, you see as he's doing this and as he's reading, right there, you see Travis. You see Travis is looking at the screen. The TV screen is over here behind him, and he's watching that. He's also looking over at Homestead 2. And you see him at one point, he leans over and starts whispering to Dragon during the ceremony. And he's noticing something happening on the screen, but he's also noticing something happening over at Homestead 2. He thought he saw some sort of an image in the door as this was going on, as the ceremony was going on. And he's reading from the Torah. Thank you. Ancient magic. Does it? And some of the things that they saw, and I grabbed a couple of these pictures here because you see this is what they saw, and this changes really quick. I grabbed the little video. I know that I got to be very careful with videos. I can use pictures and stuff, but it was you see all the heat, very hot here in the red, dark reds, yellows. warm, and then this blues and your purples and dark blues and purples are going to be your cold spots. This was like what they were noticing, like a portal opening up or something weird happening over there by the buildings of Homestead too. Okay, it was happening. There's the window. I think that's one of the windows of the building right there. You can see this happening inside there. And here is how it was changing in just a matter of seconds. It changed from this to this in a matter of seconds. All right. And here is where it got really cold. And you're starting to see these purples and stuff really showing up, and it changed real quick. Now I did grab a little video of it, and this was where they noticed and they highlighted it here. This is when they walked over here. Here's a couple of the people that are standing over Travis, and that they're walking around over here by Homestead 2 buildings, and they noticed this right here. Now, is that some sort of look at how cold that one spot is right there in the center. That's dark. And I mean, to me, that looks like some sort of a weird portal. Now, nothing came out of it. Nothing happened that we know of. It's just really strange. Isn't that weird? That just blows me away. Now, I did grab this little video here that I'm going to show real quick. There's no sound in it, but I had to show this real quick because it shows the change happens over a couple of seconds. All right, so I'm going to play this real quick. Let me bring it back. Oops. Oh, how am I going to see here? I thought I could. What's happening here? I thought I had it. Oh, let me see here. Why is it not playing for me? Hold on a second. Let me mess with it real quick. See if I can get this to work. Let me do it this way. Okay, now here's where they're talking about it here real quick, and then you see it change. Look how quickly that changed from hot to cold. See that? That was quick. Now I got to be quick with those because I'm not allowed to really be, sharing that too much. I have to keep that under a couple seconds. But you see how quickly that changed? It went from that heat to that cold, spread through there in a matter of seconds. That's not normal. Okay, so you know that underneath those trees, the cold air is going to be down low and the hotter air is going to be up high. We know that, right? But for it to change that quickly in that short period of time is not normal. So what in the heck caused that to happen? Have any idea? Yeah, very interesting. If you get a chance, go back and watch that again, because that happened really, really quick, and it was just a very odd, an odd thing to have happen like that. Then again, then they showed, as the show was closing, they were showing this right here. Let me share this again. Share. Boom, and boom. There we go. All right, so they showed this little anomaly, and this is, I'm going to right here, this little anomaly that kind of scooted by. Now, you would think if it was a bug or something, it would show up as warm. It showed up as cold, and it floated and made a little zip here across the bottom as the credits were rolling, and then it disappeared. Now, we're right at 2 hours, and I'm taking you late, folks. I'm sorry, but I have to show this real quick. This was the highlight of the show, was it not? I'm going to show you this. Boom! What's that? I don't know how many people saw this, but quite a few people grabbed it and saw this. I don't know if you were paying attention. I'm one of these people who's always watching for the little things on the background that maybe not everybody else notices. But you see this right here? What in the heck is that, right? You see that? Then there's another shot. Oh, and so what did Linda say? We were talking about this, and Linda said, well, we know what it is because Thomas Winterton actually explained it. Yeah, I don't know. That little thing was like a little orb or whatever, but yeah, it's this is right at the end where they're walking away. It's actually Billy Mays. It's Billy Mays, the best pitch man in all of history. He's passed away now, but it's Billy Mays. Look at that face. Look, you got the beard, black hair, the beard. Tell me that's not Billy Mays, huh? It's actually a mannequin head, and I guess Thomas was explaining that they take this thing and they move it around in different places to try to freak each other out. So it'll move all the time. They'll pop it in somewhere else. So when the guys are out doing something, they turn around, and freak themselves. Elvis is alive. Yeah, it's Elvis. And Linda, as soon as Linda saw it, she goes, "It's Billy Mays." I mean, look at that. Look at that face. The beard, black hair, slick back. Tell me that's not Billy Mays, huh? The late, great Billy Mays. I thought that was hilarious. Anyway, that's a mannequin head that they do. They move this thing around. And how many people actually notice that kind of stuff? But I'm always, I had to show this, folks. That's why I needed to get all the way through to the end of episode number 4 so I could show this picture. That just cracks me up that they would do this to each other. And they move that, like I said, there's Thomas right there, and he talks about how they do this. They move this, the film crew and that, they try to freak each other out moving this thing around. Isn't that hilarious, though? How many people actually noticed that watching the show? It went by quick. I mean, it was only a couple of seconds of video that they were walking, and we're like, hey, wait, what was that? And as it flashes by, you're just thinking, oh my gosh, that was a ghost in the window. No, it wasn't. It wasn't a ghost. Well, maybe it was. It was the ghost of Billy Mays, the world's greatest pitchman. I couldn't help myself, but I had to show that, folks. Anyway, there it is, Billy Mays. Isn't that funny? So, there we have it. We made it through. We made it, Jack.
2 hours.
2 hours. I ran
over 2 hours.
I hope I didn't lose anybody on that. But I got to tell you, folks, as we wrap this up, there's more to come, and the guys are really working hard out there at Skinwalker Ranch, and they're trying to put all this together. I'm really looking forward to Thomas Winterton coming on the show so he can explain to us and give us his point of view of what's happening out there. And because of the fact that we're going to have him on toward the end of the season or after the season, OxyClean, yes. He's going to be able to really get in depth and talk about some stuff, as long as it's not, something that's going to be coming up in season 3, and we're pretty sure there will be a season 3. He was pitching OxyClean, but I'm really looking forward to him coming on and sharing his insights with us, and we're going to be working on other people too to see if we can't get maybe even Brandon. Mr. Fugal to come on the show. I'd love to have Dragon or Erik or any of them come on the show and talk with us and give us some insights about some of the things that they have seen and some of the investigations that you're doing. But the end result of this whole thing is, and I know I went through these really quickly, and I hope I didn't do that too quickly and lose anybody in this, but I got to tell you, folks, there is some odd things happening on this ranch, and they need to be investigated. They need to come up with some conclusions here. There is something definitely going on that I want answers to, just like on Oak Island. I want answers to what's happened on Oak Island over the course of time. And I want to know what's happening here at Skinwalker Ranch. This is just there's too much weird, too many weird things happening here to just write this off as just a fluke. And it's consistent going on. It happens all the time. Strange things happening all the time. So we want answers. I want some answers, and hopefully we'll get those. So we got more episodes coming up. Remember, there's nothing happening next Tuesday night. There will not be an episode. It's going to be happening on June 8th. Will be episode number 5, which I already forgot the name of it. I'm sorry. I had it Linda had it up here. I can bring it back up. Hey, folks, for those of you that are out watching on YouTube, do us a big favor, if you would. Click that subscribe button for us. If you want to be getting notifications of when we're bringing up new content, you click on the notification bell. If you don't, you just don't click it. Make sure it's not checked. But click that subscribe button for us. It really, really does help us out. I promise you. We really enjoy that, and if you want, leave a comment. I do have the comments turned on, but I also have them for review, because we get some wackos out there that like to put stupid stuff up on there. So we have to keep that down to a minimum. And by doing so, we I have to have them for review first. But put comments out there. Let us know how we're doing. If you like our content, if you'd like to see other things that we're not covering, let us know. I mean, it doesn't mean we're going to, but I love the suggestions. Let us know how we're doing and things that you'd like to see coming down the road. Oh, episode number 5 is called "The Ranch Strikes Back." What's that going to be all about? That's going to be interesting. So that's. And you know what? And we might try to even talk to Robert Cotworthy. Robert is actually the narrator of the show. You don't hear him on it a bunch, but he does do the beginning and stuff like that. There is a ranch. There is an island. But Robert's a great guy. We've had him on talking about Oak Island and stuff and his background and history of his life and stuff. And a really cool man and a great story, his life and how he's gotten involved in all this stuff. So we may have him come on and talk to us about this as well. Anyway, thank you folks for being here with us tonight. I hope I didn't bore you too much or run through it too quickly, but really appreciate you all. That's why we do this, because you're here with us. Thank you, Jack Campbell, for being my co-host and helping me out with things here tonight. Linda, thank you for all the hard work you do out there. Jan, Brenda, for doing your maps and stuff. You're phenomenal. Hi, Diane. I didn't see you there. Oh, you were here watching tonight. I know this show is really cool. I like it too. Get into the secret government files. I'll bet you would blow your mind. I'll bet they would. You're right. Appreciate you guys being here tonight. Thank you all. Hope you have a good holiday over this coming weekend. Everybody have a good holiday. We will see you back here. I might show up and do something on Monday or next Wednesday night. Just depends on how I feel after doing a long drive. But folks, stay healthy, stay safe out there. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you back here hopefully next week sometime. All right. Enjoy. Bye-bye, everybody.